hey, Corey, in that situation, I would have said this here. And so I'm just sitting there taking notes and just, and my script is literally in front of me every morning. I mean, I have it so internalized, but I don't want to mess up. I want to make
Right.
sure I ask the questions, and
So
I
it's
don't have it all
vital to
figured
keep
out.
honing our craft and our skill and get to where we're asking very, very well crafted questions to get a better result in a shorter amount of time, which is what basically
Yes.
what you were saying in this.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Corey, do you mind sharing with us some of those questions that you go through and kind of the anatomy of your script?
Yeah, sure. So, hi, this is Corey Daniel here with the Daniel Real Estate Group. I see that your home was on the market some time back and didn't sell. Just out of curiosity, Sarah, did you have a change of plans, or do you still have interest in selling? And I just
Well,
basically pause.
okay, couldn't get it sold. Just, don't know what the problem was.
Hey, I understand. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I specialize in homes that didn't sell, that failed for the first time for some reason. When would you be available to meet with me so I can show you a different way to get your home sold? And I just go straight. I just ask for it.
You
I don't
go.
beat around the bush.
Very
Yeah,
direct. Yeah. Yeah. Very
yeah.
direct. That's terrific.
If
So
they
when
say
you
no, go
go
ahead.
ahead, I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. And I just kind of have switched it around. I know there's different scripts out there. If
Mhm.
they say no, I just say, hey, I understand. Let me ask, if you received an offer in the next 30 days, would you reconsider? And then
Mhm.
they're thinking, and they're like, no, like, well, hey, what if it's a full price cash offer? Would you reconsider? And then it really gets them thinking, and I
Mhm.
can hear them thinking. And when they say that, they're like, well, if an all cash offer in the next 30 days, I'm like, oh, good. So there is interest in still selling. Well,
Right.
then I go into, well, why did you put your house in the market? And I go through all that right there,
Okay.
find their motivation again.
Right. Excellent.
So, mhm.
No, that makes a lot of sense. What about the follow-up calls? So the people that you've got in your pond, but then you're going to try to move them up, and maybe you've talked to them 4, 5, 6 times now. And I guess twofold question: how often will you follow up? How many times do you follow up? And
It
what do you
really,
see
oh,
differently? Yeah.
sorry.
No, go
I'm a
ahead.
bit, I'm excited. Um, so it depends on the conversation. If they're super hot lead and they say, yeah, we're interviewing agents now, I mean, I'm calling the next day. I mean, I put it in my CRM immediately, and I put hot in all caps, exclamation mark, hot, 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 and I immediately call them. That's clearly where I start in the morning in my pipeline, and then I start with expireds and other things. I call them immediately. If not, then I will follow a system of an 8x8 campaign, and we have a specific 8x8 campaign that we use specifically for expireds,
Can you tell
specifically
us
for
what an
meds.
8x8 campaign is exactly?
It's 8 touches in 8 weeks. Ours is actually 9 or 10. And what we will do is, as soon as I get off the phone, at the very end of the day, I'll just start pulling my handwritten notes, send a business card, and then I will actually send them a text video as soon as I send it, just saying, "Hey, Sarah, this is Corey Daniel. Spoke to you earlier, yada, yada, yada. Sending you my business card. Hey, great talking with you. I'll follow up with you down the road." And I'll follow up with them in the next 3 weeks, send them a postcard or something in between, and just keep following up with them as
Terrific.
well. And so I'll talk to them 3 times or 4 times in that 8 weeks. Plus, they'll get postcards and other stuff in between all that. And then from there, at the end of that 8 weeks, we'll determine if we want to keep following up with them or not. And
Okay.
maybe cost us $3 or $4 to send those postcards.
Wow.
So our
Yeah.
return on
Very
investment
cool.
is way greater than just that little $3. So
Yeah, that's fantastic. What service are you using for your video texts? How do you do that?
I just do it on my cell phone. I
Just a
don't,
regular?
yeah, simply just put their number in, send the text, and then they will sometimes start texting me back, and I'll keep that conversation going. And so that's really my goal, is to keep that conversation going. And
Sure.
clearly, when I'm in appointments and stuff, I can take my phone on the go with me and keep that going in the car and stuff in between appointments, and even once I get home. So,
That's great.
and yeah,
That's awesome. So you're looking to speak with 10 contacts a day, and you're looking for 2 nurtures and of course an appointment. When you set up your lead gen for the day, how much time are you setting aside for that? And how many dials do you think you're making to get those results?
absolutely. Every day is different. Clearly, it ranges from about 2 to 4.
Mhm.
Clearly, I would prefer the 4. So I would say we're at least hitting, and I'd have to go back and look, at least 100 dials in a session, at
Okay.
least, maybe 200 at a time. It just really depends. Um, it just depends. It really depends. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna work for it. I mean, you're working for those leads.
Yeah, it's not just all on HGTV
Yeah,
where you show up in the Mercedes and get the big check, is it? There's this part of it
exactly.
too. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So we work for that
Absolutely.
business. Yes.
That's awesome. Gosh, you built a really successful career
Thank you.
from a very specific source. That's
Mhm.
really fantastic. It really is. How have you adjusted your business with the tighter inventory? Because they're
Yes.
not as plentiful right now. What does that look like for you?
Yeah. So the past 2 years, I did the same amount of transactions, 26 both years.
Mhm.
Last year, though, we focused on higher volume, so we actually closed a lot more volume last year, and so we shifted that. Um, it really, honestly, I've just plugged in to Take 52 and groups like that, and
Mhm.
surrounded myself with like-minded people who's like, hey, it's gonna be okay. Just dig in and keep doing the activities that you know will produce the results because I'm not, I still have fears as well. I'm human just like everybody else. So I still had those thoughts going through my head like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Last year, when COVID hit, we were up 400% the first quarter. I
Wow.
think we took like 3 or 4 million in volume. Yeah, it was a really good quarter,
Incredible.
like crazy good. And then it just all crashed. And we're like, ah, but we stuck it out. And I would say by June of last year, I ended up having my best year. And then my fourth quarter last year was my best quarter ever. And this quarter, we're going to close to 3 or 4 million this
Wow.
fourth quarter coming up. And so I just dug in, and as the market has picked up, I use that as an opportunity to adjust my script when I'm calling and say, there's tremendous opportunities right now for sellers. And
Right.
that little change with the old expireds has gone a long way.